Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
Hi, this is Ed Cohen in San Diego, California. Today is December 4. It's a little after 9 a.m. here. The sun is shining in San Diego. And our special topic today is all about work from home, homeschooling, online education, and stresses connected with COVID and all of those work in place relationships. So with us is Chase Eskelsen and Julie Taylor, who's a headmaster, and Yovhane Metcalf. Welcome. I hope I didn't butcher your name.
Nope, that was perfect.
Okay, great. So Yovhane, why don't you introduce yourself formally and tell us what you do and why you want to be on the show today.
Thank you. My name is Yovhane Metcalf, and I'm the Chief Academic Officer at for StrongMind Inc. StrongMind develops K through 12 digital learning solutions for schools and students alike. We have several partners in several states and we serve students all across the world now, actually. We've been developing digital learning solutions for the last 2 decades. Our specialty is amazing, highly engaging digital content for students of all ages, and really stepping up that engagement factor for students. So that way they are learning by doing, even if they are online, and even if it is a digital environment. One of our focuses this year has been in not this year, actually. One of our focuses for the past 2 years has been the development of social and emotional learning material, content for students in grades 6 through 12. Obviously, when we started this in 2019, we had no idea that COVID was going to disrupt everyone as it has. But now that most students have been forced to learn virtually to some extent over the past year, we're realizing how important that has been, that opportunity to continue to grow students and grow their resilience and grow those competencies that are so important right now, because they don't have that social aspect of being able to be in schools where they'd acquire these skills through teachable moments and interactions with other students and teachers. And so there has to be a purposeful, meaningful way for them to interact with concepts like personal growth and time management and social awareness. These skills need to be formally addressed if they're not being addressed in the digital environment.
So what age brackets are you focusing on?
Our social and emotional learning product is targeted at students in grades 6 through 12. And so it breaks down the 5 CASTLE competencies, CASTLE being the collaborative for social and emotional learning. Hello.
This is Dr. Natalie Forrest. Welcome.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, it's quite all right. So I want to introduce you to our players here. Julie Taylor, headmaster of the Bridge School, Chase Eskelsen from Verona Learning Partners, and we're just discussing the strong minds of young people, Yovhane Metcalf. So please continue.
Oh, thank you. The platform we've developed is called StrongMinded. Our company is StrongMind. The platform we've developed is StrongMinded, and it's targeted at students in grades 6 through 12. And the idea is that students can explore content or modules that are bite-sized in nature, 5 minutes, highly media enabled, so interactive, highly engaging videos, all around 5 minutes, and all teaching a competency, but it breaks down that competency into learning objectives that are developmentally appropriate for here's what social awareness looks like for a sixth grader. And here's what we're going to teach regarding social awareness for a sixth grader. For a seventh grader, we're going to go a little bit more deep, or a little deeper. We're going to be a little more complex and teach another aspect of social awareness. And so for each of those competencies, we've broken them down into specific bite-sized learning objectives, so that students are getting a comprehensive development and comprehensive exposure to these skills that they may not be able to pick up if they are not in a face-to-face setting with a teacher who is using those teachable moments, or able to make intentional, purposeful time in order to address social and emotional learning.
So that's really a good intro, and thank you very much for that deep dive. Let's go to Julie Taylor, headmaster of the Bridge School, who's fresh. Dr. Natalie, she's just back from hiking in Zion National Park. So talk about a release of mental stress.
Yeah, for sure. So, one of the things that Yovhane touched on was that when Strong Minds started developing this curriculum in 2019, the world had no idea about COVID-19. And so, we have started seeing a trend of the mental health of teenagers and how they're trying to cope with all of the demands of school and the pressure to succeed and the outside influences of social media. And, being in a school setting, you're seeing this on a regular basis. And having 5 children, 5 teenagers, I see this from a parenting side as well. And it's so important to be able to teach our young people coping skills. And whether it's how to manage your days and your time management, or whether it's having a growth mindset and setting a goal and how are you going to obtain that goal, or whether it's, social media influences, being able to give our young people the skills to be successful in their life. And success doesn't mean that you're going to go on and become this multi-billionaire, but success can have different meanings based on the students. And so this is a fantastic opportunity, not just for students, but I think adults need this as well, whether that's, learning to work from home now, or, whatever that might be, but having that priority on your social and emotional health has been a huge thing. And with this curriculum, being able to deliver it in bite-sized pieces. So our teachers can assign a little bite-sized curriculum or objective to the students, or the students can go in and search for things. So if they realize that they're struggling and they have that self-awareness that they're struggling in a certain area, they can go in and search on a certain topic and self-discover. And I think that's been really great too. So
Dr. Natalie, please jump in, and why don't you briefly introduce yourself a little better than I did, and I thank you for your time here. Oh, we got to turn it on.
I apologize. I'm actually at a stable because I was just teaching. So I apologize for my background and my appearance, but I'm excited. I've met Chase before, and I've learned a lot about the Bridge School, so I'm really excited to be here. I'm a teacher by heart. So one of the things, and I've also trained teachers, and right now I'm dealing with virtual and face-to-face teaching, and everything that both of you just said is so spot on. The one thing that concerns me is that socioeconomic piece, and also being able to address the individual needs. And I think you both touched on that. So whenever it comes to the discovery, some kids are very, very aware. And I think a lot of children are actually so much more aware than we are. And giving them the space to, I think you used the term, Julie, discover themselves, right? I think that is really crucial, because very often we, as parents or teachers, I think we push our perception on them. So I love that they can explore on their own. The one concern that I have, and that has nothing to do with Bridge School or the programs, that Yovhane, how do I pronounce your name?
Yovhane.
Yovhane just mentioned, for me, is always there's so much online right now. Like one of the things that I try to do is, yes, of course, I know there's all the online, but then I get my daughter or the students that I deal with, I get them away from the computer and really do the hands-on stuff. And I think trying to find a way, I don't know, out of that or with that, like even the online learning right now, the teacher sitting there and telling them what to do. It's like, that's still not really hands-on because I'm looking at the screen the whole time, you know? I don't know if you have any solutions for that. I mean, the concepts that you have are exciting, and just the hands-on, you know, the school that I'm building is much more about go outside, be with the horses, dig in the dirt. You know, you can't do that online. So how do you address that?
So I think that's a really good point. The socioeconomic limitations that are a reality, COVID or not. What we're seeing though is that those limitations are actually much more pronounced because many of the opportunities that you had described, like having an engaged adult sitting there next to you to help you, guide you, and be with you and guide you through a hands-on activity, is something that many families aren't going to be able to have right now. Just as students are online, so are their parents who are now going to, and sometimes they're not, they're still going to the office. So it was important for us to create an opportunity for students to practice skills that they can then transfer into real life. So the hands-on part happens. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen online. Students are asked to introduce to a concept. We help them build a foundational understanding, and then they're asked to go out and apply it in ways that we may not have anticipated because now their social circle is so much more limited than it previously was. So it's important for us to continue to develop these skills, but be much more open-minded about how students can relate and how students can have those experiences, because learning pods are great. If your child has the opportunity to learn with other students and in a controlled, safe environment, then that's been an exceptional development out of this entire ordeal.
Base
Of those pods, but it's not something that is readily available to most families right now. So we are trying to create those opportunities and have students like transfer those skills just like they do with any online learning. There needs to be a transfer and application of those skills outside of the computer screen that they're learning it on initially.
Yeah, and Yovhane, I would add to that too. In application, I think there's a lot of things that we can do as a school and as instructors to help students through this curve, you know, especially for students who are used to going to a brick and mortar setting and now they're all at home. And this goes for folks who are maybe in the corporate setting who are just now learning to work at home as well. And so, you know, things like creating a schedule and scheduling in breaks to get outside, you know, for 5 to 10 minutes and throughout your day, scheduling these bite-sized breaks just to get away from the screen. And I think that various schools around the globe have transitioned into this emergency learning at various degrees of success. I know many school districts across the United States, at least, have started requiring, if they can't be in person, they're requiring, you know, 4 to 6 hours of Zoom calls a day. And, you know, in my local school district, I'm seeing that. And it's so hard on the students to try to be present and interact for that long and then go on in the afternoon and have assignments beyond that. So I've seen personally varying levels of success. So I think that as instructors and administrators and, you know, even in the corporate world, when we can encourage that mental health piece to take priority, and then the learning is going to continue. But if they're not taking care of themselves, then it's all going to you're going to see that as a reflection in their grades and in their learning and in their interacting and engagement.
That's right. That's so right, Julie. part of the reason why we developed SEL, our strong-minded platform in the way we did, was the 5-minute bite-sized activity was meant to be a break for students who are struggling through the learning process with much more rigorous material. We saw students who are struggling through Algebra 1 is a perfect example. So many are barely hanging in there, trying to attain that credit, trying to pass that test. And so we wanted to give them little breaks, mental breaks, where they could be successful on something and take a little break, remind themselves that that there is a whole other pipeline that they need to be developing, and have that work in concert with helping them be academically successful, because those social and emotional skills are so important for grit and persistence and rigor. Learning in itself is a very uncomfortable process. You don't know something and you have to make new neural connections between new concepts. And so the idea that you can be successful and learn concepts that are going to help you in life is just as important, especially when you are tied to a computer for so long and you're struggling to work, you're struggling to learn, whatever it may be.
Chase?
You know, Ed, I think I'm just so happy that we're having this conversation. When we talked about this prior to sitting down today, I thought that's exactly the conversation that needs to be happening. As we look around the world that we are living in, so much influence and weight has been given to physical safety, and we should make sure that people are safe, but we have completely thrown out mental well-being during the last 8 months. And I think it's really a crying shame that nobody has been intellectually honest enough to say, hey, there's more than one thing we should be talking about. You know, yes, let's keep people safe, but we also have to keep people safe mentally. And it's just really, really sad to me. You know, I read an article the other day where there was an 11-year-old student in California who took his own life in a Zoom class during virtual school. And that's just heartbreaking. You know, just to think about the fact that what we're doing to these kids by only focusing on one indicator versus the entire spectrum that builds a student up, and that we have to, as parents, as citizens, as whoever you want to be, we have to be thinking about all these different aspects of life to grow students to who they should be, to be productive and to be happy citizens well on past their high school years. And so I'm just really, really glad that people are finally starting to talk about this.
I think this is so important. And Chase, the example that you mentioned, we keep hearing about young people right now. I mean, the suicide rate has gone up so much. And it is because, I'm just going to throw that in, because I don't like most of the academic standards, especially in the United States. And you know, that you have to follow step A through Z. Well, what if I skip B through W and I still get the same result? You get downgraded for things like that. It's like, but I got there. So I think there's a lot to learn from this situation right now, not just about online and not online, but about what do we mean with the terms that Chase just used, productive, happy citizens. What do we mean by that? And I forget who else mentioned that. It might have been Julie. You know, success doesn't mean that you have to make $1 million. Success might mean to some people that they have a happy family, you know, and being able to address the needs of the individual. We've come so much to treat everybody the same. And my daughter wrote a poem the other day. I'm thinking maybe she heard me say something, but she wrote a poem about how everybody right now in school is being trained to be a robot. And I cried when I heard that, because she certainly is not. But then when they're in the classroom, they're competitive and they have to do it this way and they're trying to be good. But their own personal needs, like you said, the socio-emotional, the idea of you need to spend time outside in between classes, you need to take a break. Yesterday, again, my daughter was doing an exercise and she got frustrated, and it had all to do with time management. She had played for 2.5 hours, and then in the evening she got upset. So it's like, there's so much that we can teach them that are soft skills or lifelong skills. We're not doing that. We're so focused on grades and tests. And I think that increases the depression. Yeah.
No, one of the things that, one of the things that's interesting to me, and I've long said, and I'll say it for years to come, that traveling has been one of the best things for me to learn about the world in general. I've learned much more walking a street that I've never known than I ever did in a classroom. And one of the things that goes right along with what Dr. Forrest was saying was I walked into a cheese shop in France, and I took a bite of this cheese, and I thought, oh my goodness, that's the absolute best thing that has ever touched my tongue in my entire life. And I don't speak French, and the shop owner didn't speak a whole lot of English, but I said to him, hey, you should go and sell this everywhere in the world. And he said, I don't want to do that. And I said, you could make millions selling this cheese. It's the most delicious thing I've ever had in my life. And he said, I don't want to. I want to make my cheese, and I want to own my shop, and I am so content and fulfilled because I get to make the absolute best cheese and then go home and spend time with my family. And that forever changed how I think about things, because as Americans, we love to go and build big and build quick and have the absolute best. But the truth of the matter was that's not how everyone thinks about it. And it was really interesting to me to see that he just wants to make his cheese in his little shop and then go and, have a glass of wine and a nice cheese board with his family. So it's really interesting. Just thought I'd throw my side story in on this topic.
I think you're so right, Chase. And I want to get on the travel boat here for a second, right? Because the kids learn so much more when they're able to travel, and not just, overseas, because socioeconomics come in. Not everybody can travel overseas. A lot of kids or youth that I've dealt with, they have never left Baltimore. So, they're being invited to go overseas. They haven't even left Baltimore. It's like, hold on a second, can we get them to DC first? But it's that exposure to how people think differently, and that openness. Even stepping out of your own neighborhood can be a culture shock. But making sure that the kids who, from what I see, are ready for it. They're so much more ready than we adults. But we need to make it possible for them. And, taking them out of, as parents, as teachers, saying, okay, we're not going to go to the same zoo that we go to all the time. We're now going to go to a different zoo, or we're going to go to a different farm to pick apples. I mean, whatever it is, but getting out of that routine, and that exposes the kids to different worlds so they can begin to decide. And yes, we can do that virtually if we have to right now.
Well, one of the things that we offer at the Bridge School, which is pretty awesome, is that we don't have those required, Zoom sessions that we're talking about, to meet attendance requirements that some schools have. Our students are able to plan their week or even their entire semester around their life. We have a lot of students who are semi-professional athletes, or they work towards their trade, or maybe they're working and they have part-time jobs. And so they're able to do their school around their own schedule. Or we have global families where, their parent might have a position where they fly out for a few months of the year and then they come back and spend time with their family. And so within our school, we have the opportunity to offer students a 2-week break in their semester if they need to spend time with family or if they're traveling, and so that they can really have that ability to meet their outside commitments and not just solely worry that they're going to be falling behind in their schooling.
Ed, one of the things that's been great has been our families that have one or both parents have a situation where they're kind of fly in and fly out. And when that family member comes back, the family's together. Now, okay, let's take a pause on our education and focus on our family. Like that's a key tenet of what they value, and they want to spend that time together until that parent has to fly back into another location. The other side, for our mobile families, that's fantastic, is a lot of times, and I know COVID has kind of messed this up right now, but we'll get back to normal life eventually, hopefully. But one of the things that we've seen is these families, they move to a new location, and one of the key tenets of their desire to be there is to explore that country and to explore the areas around that. And so sometimes a parent may have a time off. Okay, let's pause this curriculum so that the family can go and experience the history and the culture and the foods all together, instead of, oh, sorry, we can't do that because, little Johnny's got school today. No, we can take school with us, or we can pause school and come back to it after this life-changing trip potentially. So that's one of the things that we're really proud to offer through the Bridge School.
So Julie, let me ask you about Chase's point here about pausing. And so how is that done? I would think you require advance notice that this kind of family situation exists, and that there's okay to do that, and some kind of procedure, some kind of protocol.
Yeah, so we actually offer open enrollment. So our students don't have to follow a set semester, where many schools have like very set semester dates for the fall semester and spring semester and summer semester. Since we have students all across the globe, we're not going to ask them to follow our specific semester dates, because different countries have various holidays and days off that they celebrate, and vacations like we're just talking about, or family times. And so when we enroll students, they're able to enroll at any point in the year. And from that enrollment point, we give them a full semester's worth of time that they can complete their work. And so they get that amount of time, that 18-week semester. But then if they do need to take a 2-week break, they can submit that request to the administration, and we'll review that and let their teachers know about that. And they can literally just pause their curriculum for that week or 2 weeks. And then when they're done, come back in and pick up where they left off.
But as you mentioned, they can take their curriculum with them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So I mean, I'm thinking, if I were to take my daughter on another RV trip or something, she doesn't have to miss school, maybe a day here or there, but she can still participate in school. So I've noticed that a lot of people right now, including myself, have gone over to homeschooling, because not just because of the virtual experience, but also because of a miscommunication, dissatisfaction, non-alignment, all these different terms. I don't want to pinpoint just one, that they feel with their schools, whether it's the status of the public school in their neighborhood, whether it's a private school. There seems to be a real move towards homeschooling. And you have a lot of freedom with that. So what are your thoughts on homeschooling versus the little bit more of a structure that you provide, and that I would argue a lot of kids need?
And I'm sure Yovhane has a lot of thoughts on this too. So I'll make my thought quick so she can chime in. I think that homeschooling works fantastic for a subset of our population. I think that there needs to be a lot of research, and it does take a lot of planning to make it successful for the students. And some parents have that ability, and they have those resources. In many instances, there does need to be some guidance, especially when you're getting up into those higher level subjects. We're talking about calculus, and we're talking about, honors English. In most instances, a single parent is not going to have all of those necessary backgrounds and understanding to walk the students through those subjects. So that's an instance where I feel it's very beneficial to partner up with a school to have teachers who are credentialed in that area, who are subject matter experts, who can help guide students through those tricky content areas and still have that same level of flexibility that you're talking about.
Dr. Natalie, the topic of smiling, kids relaxing, or showing that they're relaxed, somehow exhibiting behavior that shows they're normal and, relaxed. Chase and I had some dialogue on this a while ago. I wanted to ask you about this particular thing. It seems like it's so obvious. Okay, smile. Hello, kid, smile. But the stress factor takes over, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, all the time. It's and it's not always obvious, because kids can fake a smile. They know what their parents want. They know what the teachers want, right? I mean, that's a given. So they can go like, yeah, I'm good. But the smile has to connect with the eyes. So you really got to know the child. And there's a lot of stress right now, whether it's with the virtual or the fact that they can't see their friends, and their voices get loud because they're so worried that they don't get heard anymore on these Zoom calls. And then they laugh out loud, but it's all really stress release. And so the smiling comes with what, I'm going to mispronounce your name again. Yovhane. Yovhane, I'm sorry. And Julie and Chase have been saying as well, it's like they have to get away from the pressure sometimes. And right now that is even harder because we as teachers and parents are also a little stressed. So, and that requires communication. And, I know you wanted to talk more about smiles, but the smiles come only if you feel safe. And that means you have to be able to talk with people, whether it's your teachers, whether it's your parents. So to me, the communication piece, the honest communication piece, is the most crucial in all that. Because if I cannot be honest with a teacher, with my child, with my spouse, I am not going to feel safe to smile. And with the smile come the tears. We need to allow our children to cry. There's so much emphasis of, oh, it's not that bad, or you're a boy, don't cry. It's like, no, you actually need to cry. They both go together. And, again, I think that goes back to some of the social emotional pieces that were mentioned when it came in. And as Julie and Chase were also saying, us adults need the training. We can train the kids all we want. It's us adults who screw it up. I'm sorry to be honest, but we do. It's like we're the ones who say, don't run or you're going to fall. Don't laugh so loud. Why don't you smile at this person? And if the kid doesn't feel like smiling, they ain't going to smile. So,
yeah,
I mean, it is crucial, the communication and really teaching us. I mean, I spend a lot of time talking to other parents or teachers. I'm like, come on, chill out. I think it's crucial.
Okay, so Yovhane, strong minds, right? How do you transition that?
So I'm glad that we're talking about SEL, but when we talk about that pressure that students feel when they're learning new concepts, learning can be uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be toxic pressure, though. It shouldn't be toxic pressure. Oftentimes, when you're seeing a student failing to grasp a concept, you need to try a different method. You need to try a different approach. Everyone, I think it was the famously misquoted Einstein quote, if you teach a fish to, if you ask a fish to climb a tree, it'll live forever feeling like a failure. What we try to do in our digital curriculum is create multiple opportunities for representation, for demonstration of skills, multiple opportunities for learning the same concept. And so what we've also done is integrate project-based learning into the digital curriculum. And this is something that is meant to be purposely offline, meant to be a hands-on project where a student can go deeper and do more inquiry based learning, where students can solve a real world problem and come up with a product. And they can do this in coordination with their teacher, with their parent, with other students in a group project. And that's so important because a lot of the skills that we, like a lot of those social and emotional skills, like we can't underscore the social aspect of that enough. And so whereas we had talked about the homeschooling being appropriate for a subset of the population, that's true for virtual learning as well. And that's also true for certain other school types, like having all of these different learning environments has only created more and more access to education and high quality education for those students who need something different. And so what we've tried to do is, in our digital curriculum as well, is create a differentiated offering that would allow students to be more hands-on and to take what they're learning online and apply it offline. And so what you're seeing is opportunities for students to be much more social, much more engaged in their communities, and much more engaged with the real world so that they can apply those skills. Because again, we can't undervalue the importance of that social connection and that real world connection in what students are learning. Because in the end, that's where this is the goal. Like when we say college and career ready, what we really mean is life ready. And life doesn't happen in a vacuum. And we are not, and the reason why this has been so difficult for many to get through is because we are so isolated. And even in this isolated environment, we need to find new ways to socially connect in order to make meaning out of things that we're learning, out of things we're doing, to make them relevant so that, you know, we can put on a genuine smile and we're not all just faking it, our students included.
So with that in mind, we're going to take a quick break. And now a word from our co-sponsors. You know, our programs wouldn't happen without the wonderful support of our advertisers. Here they are.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
Cube Monk, featuring the world's first smart cube. Track your goods with our advanced GPS system. Welcome to the future of moving and relocation at cubemonk.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by heirs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at heirs.com.
Insured Nomads provides protection and peace of mind with health insurance, travel insurance, group, or tailored insurance for the globally mobile. Visit us at insurednomads.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Hi, my name is Christine. I'm a nurse from the Philippines, and I got to know IAS through Worldwide Health Staff Solutions. And I want to thank IAS, especially to Matthew, for helping me get my car stress-free, headache-free. And so just want to show you the car that I got. So it's a RAV4 XLE 2020.
As an expat moving to the USA, relocating is exciting, but it can also be stressful. Getting a car, truck, or SUV for personal transportation is usually a high priority. That's where International Auto Source comes in. We make getting the vehicle you want for your work assignment or academic program easy, so you're ready to drive when you arrive. Our product specialists have helped over 50,000 expatriates with their personal transportation needs, making us the largest international auto retailer in the world. International Auto Source gives you flexible payment options to buy, lease, or rent a vehicle from the world's leading auto brands, arrange financing on a purchase or lease without a U.S. credit history, social security number, or driving record, get full insurance coverage, and get approved easily through our low-rate factory-backed financing programs. And because we're an authorized distributor of the world's leading automotive brands, our no-haggle prices are competitive, and the buying experience is hassle-free. We'll even guarantee your new vehicle will be ready the day you arrive. With over 20 years of experience in the global community, we are the vehicle experts for expats. We are International Auto Source.
Okay, so now we're back and we want to continue the discussion with Julie Taylor, headmaster of the Bridge School. And so we don't want the kids to be robots, but the video aspect, look at YouTube, the video aspect of watching TV and watching how people are doing things, this is really integral in teaching today, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the things that I love most about our digital curriculum that we use is that it does such a great job of incorporating different styles of learning. So I've seen many digital curriculums that are very text heavy, and the students are just expected to read, and then take a test over it. The Strong Mind curriculum that the Bridge School uses does a really great job of breaking that up. So there's a section that you do read, and then there is a video explaining what you just read, and then there's some practice, and you are able to use that practice, and it breaks it up into steps. So you're only seeing the first step at a time, and then once you've got that step, then it moves on to step number 2. And so you're able to really internalize this in smaller pieces and different platforms. So it's not all just video teaching. It's not all just reading. It's really a great interactive tool to use for our students.
Yeah. So Dr. Natalie, what kind of horse do you like to ride the best?
A fast one.
A fast one. Got it.
A strong-willed and strong-minded one.
Yeah. And so how did you get to learn about horseback riding? Or did you grow up in Hamburg area learning how to horseback ride?
Well, actually, no. And it's an interesting question because it has to do with love of animals and love of nature, right? And it also has to do with socioeconomics. So I don't own horses. I never owned a horse, but I got attracted to horses because of the communication I can have with the horse. And so it's with all the animals. Part of what I love about animals really is the fact that we communicate without words. You don't need words, and it's an honesty. And especially with horses, and I'm actually working on becoming an equine specialist in addition to everything else that I do, because bringing the horses to the kids, we work here where I volunteer as well with kids with special needs, with veterans, right? That's why I always, we know dogs, dolphins, we know all the animals in nature help. So I love all animals, and horses are just sort of an amazing extension. Plus, yeah, I'm a revolutionary, so I like to be on a horse and go really, really fast and let the horse take the lead, you know, which I think is a really interesting psychological assessment, because how do I live my life and what do I really like, right?
You live your life at a gallop.
Yes, exactly. And I like strong-willed people who have their own opinions, and learning from them and working with them. And that's how I see everybody, including the kids. So, you know, I think it all feeds back to me really being a teacher. And I love what the Bridge School is doing. And I think that the incorporation of individualized learning, of experts at your beck and call, and having, and I know I keep like driving this horse home, right? Having the parents involved. I am beyond amazed at how many parents don't know what their kids are learning, doing, or talking about in school. I mean, I sometimes get messages from parents that I'm connected with, and they're like, well, I heard somebody on TV said this, my daughter can no longer watch the show. And I'm thinking, do you know the words that they're using in class when they're not having the teacher present? You know, it's like, oh my gosh, people are no longer aware. And so when we're talking about trying to get the kids away from YouTube or virtual, what are the parents doing in their house? The parents are watching, the TV is on all day. Then they're having the computer on and the radio is on in the background, right? So it's the same sort of setup. That's what the kids are learning. So we're like trying to be somewhere in between with all of this. You know, it's really tough. It's really tough.
So Dr. Natalie, tell us very briefly, if you could, I know it's probably a deeper topic, but the psychological relationship between people who are handicapped or have some kind of special needs and a horse. For some reason, I've heard in the past that the horses can communicate or can understand there's something different.
Well, I think it is everything. I'm also an energy healer and intuitive, right? So everything is intuitive, just like the smile that you mentioned. When you look at somebody's eyes, you sort of know what they're feeling if you're open to it. A horse knows what you're feeling, and the horses will pick. They will pick you. It's not necessarily that you pick a horse. Like when we have people come in here, they go around and they look at the different horses, and the horse will come up to you. One horse will come up to you. They know what you need. And if you get too loud, they will walk away. It's that emotional interaction. You can call it telepathy. You can call it energy. They know. And then when you see adults, veterans, who are not allowed to talk about their feelings or their post-traumatic stress or anything like that, they're just stroking a horse. They're just grooming a horse. And it has to be a horse because the dog is down there, right? But a horse you can actually lean on. So now you're leaning on a horse, and all of a sudden the walls that we have built start falling. And that's when healing comes in. That's when we can actually address the things. So that connection, that's why I love working with horses, because you can't kick them around, and you can lean on them. And you have to build that trust factor, and you have to build a relationship.
So are you saying that the horse wants you to lean on them, wants to feel you?
Yeah, the horse wants interaction. I mean, the horse wants to you care about it. And really, it's the same with us adults or human beings, right? We love hugs. We just say no to hugs if we think it's inappropriate socially, okay? But we all need touch. And so the horse gets to know you by the way that you touch it. And you get to let go of your guard by touching the horse. And it's like simple work. I mean, it's like brushing somebody's hair, right? You just start grooming the horse. And all of a sudden, the horse is like moving. And if the horse notices that you're not okay, the horse will reflect that. So they might start moving, or they might walk away, or they lean into you. It really depends on what they sense you need. And I love that, because that's what we as human beings have sometimes forgotten, right? The brushing our kids' hair, the holding somebody's hand, because now we have sexual harassment everywhere, right? It's like, how do we teach? How do I encourage a student who's crying if I'm not allowed to give them a hug, right? So all these things. And so horses just help relieve a lot of the social conditions that have been put on us.
So Yovhane, let's get your perspective. Strong mind, the horse, the animal, people with needs, special needs. Help our audience understand this connection better.
So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to keep up on the horse analogies.
That's okay.
My expertise ends at having watched the movie Seabiscuit years ago. But it looks great. Looks fun. Where I think there is, and also equine therapy, it has a ton of research about its effectiveness for students with autism, for PTSD, for people suffering with PTSD. There have been, it's definitely proven to be an effective therapy for so many. But just as there are different needs of different learners, there are different mediums to address those needs. And so for some, equine therapy is going to be the most effective. And just like for some, video is going to be the most effective medium for learning something. It's funny, you hadn't asked how Dr. Natalie had learned to ride horses. And I was thinking, couldn't have been on a video. It's definitely not something you learn to do via video. However, like, I learned to change the battery on my car by watching a video and by watching a video on my laptop and having the battery like right there in front of me. And so it's a combination of hands-on and virtual learning that and yes, thank gosh, I was able to start my car, but it's something that it's just one medium. Video is one medium in digital learning, just like a web-based interactive is a medium for practicing. A graphic organizer or an infographic is a medium for organizing information. And there are different types of learning that need to happen. And there are different types of, there are different ways for effectively teaching that information. And this underscores, and we can't underscore enough, the importance of instructional design in digital learning.
Thank you. We want to running out of time, Julie. Before you disappear, could you sum up and just talk about the new year for the Bridge School? What's happening and what I'm calling Lucky 21?
You know what? I will say that this year has brought so many different students, and we've been talking about this whole hour. Not every student is the same, and their needs are very different. So we've actually had some students who have come to us this year because their local school has returned in person, and for health reasons, they're not ready to be in person. We've had some students who have come to us because their local school has gone virtual and they don't like the way that they have gone virtual. All schools are not created equal. And like Yovhane said, we now have the option to be picky and choose the way that we want our education delivered to our children. And being involved is so important. And so I think 2021 may not be a reset, but it's going to definitely be a regrouping of what education looks like. And I'm very thankful that, you know, we've been in this online education space for 20 years, and we don't have to reinvent what that looks like.
Yeah, Chase?
Julie, I'm really glad that you said that. And I know you have to go in just a minute, but I was reading an article this morning about school effectiveness and school improvement. And it was talking about how allowing families to choose their schools are allowing those students to be more suited to play a key role in improving their student mental health. And that was referenced against adolescent suicide rates and mental health figures. And I'm trying to find the stat here while we're talking. The researchers estimated that the effect of charter school law translated to around 10% decline in the suicide rate among 15 to 19-year-olds. And that's really interesting to me. And I think it doesn't matter. It talks about charters. It talks about private schools. It just talks about having different opportunities and different options for families. And I think that's really interesting information that we should really, as a nation, take a good hard look at. Is not every student learns the same way. So let's allow for some innovation for these schools to teach their unique niche way of doing it, and then have those students find the school that works best for them. And, obviously it's showing that there's a benefit from suicide rates alone dropping 10%. I mean, that's a huge number. And then it goes down further and talks about the effect of private school choice and having students enroll in a private school long term, and it followed people for 15, 20 years, that they were less likely to have mental health conditions by I can't find the number here in front of me, but it was many percentage points of they're less likely to have issues down the line regarding their mental health. And so really interesting article. In fact, Ed, I'll drop the link in the chat, and if you want, you can take a look or maybe attach it to the notes for the show. But it was really, really interesting.
Yeah, send me that in an email, please, also. Okay. All right, this is, I really am so appreciative of your support and intellectual leadership on this topic of homeschooling and online. And Dr. Natalie, once again, your insight and wisdom is revolutionary, but it's also so practical. And so thank you so much for being involved. Yovhane, thank you for your strong minds.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, you bet. All right, this program is going to be edited, not for content, but for tightness, and will be available on our site probably tonight or early tomorrow, and then that'll link to our YouTube channel. And then we will begin a marketing rollout that will take 12 months, where we promote this as part of our resource library. Google Analytics has looked at our traffic since we began this video series, and they say that we've had over 50,000 reader page views, in other words, audience sessions, on the TV site since late March. And a lot of it has to do with the quality of people like you guys, so thank you. I really appreciate it.
That I'm thrilled to have met Julie and Yovhane, because what you two are doing, I've met Chase before, so I'm leaving him out, but I'm going to reconnect with him. What you are doing with that school is so important. So I can't thank you enough, just as a teacher, as a mom, as all of that. So thank you for what you're doing. It's really instrumental.
Thank you. So Dr. Natalie, when's your next article going to be on the Los Angeles Tribune?
I'm not sure. I had one 2 weeks ago on prejudice, so I think I got to bring one out this week.
Yeah.
Maybe on education again.
Okay. And briefly for our audience, tell us just real quick about I Do Systems.
Absolutely. Well, IDO Systems is a SaaS company, and what we have developed is a tool for entrepreneurs in particular, where entrepreneurs can find out where they are in their business. Because very often as entrepreneurs, we just go out on a vision, and what we help you with is figure out, where am I, what did I forget, and how do I get to where I need to go, which usually means longevity and staying in business for a long time so we can serve. And it's an online tool. It tells you exactly, it maps out, we call it journey mapping. It maps out what you need to do to be sustainable, to be successful, and pretty much live your dream.
Great. Thank you, Chase, for being a leader here and for your insight. I got a message link from Tim Moran earlier today too, so that's cool. So Dr. Natalie, I welcome you to come back again and talk further about being a revolutionary.
I will. And Chase, I will reach out to you. You've been on my mind this last week.
Excellent.
Right.
Sounds like
so
a plan.
Ed.
All right, thank you. Let's
Thanks, everyone.
touch. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.